Welcome to GTS Car Life, I'm Thomas. Today, thanks to our friends at Porsche Grapevine, we review the incredible Porsche 911 Turbo S. Thank you to Porsche Grapevine and Avondale dealership for providing this 2022 Porsche 911 Turbo S, which is available right now, if you're quick. Much has been made about the ever-increasing size of Porsche's iconic sports car, the 911. Even here at GTS Car Life, we've lamented the loss of a traditional sports car feel in newer 911s. Today, we take a look at Porsche's flagship road-going 911, the Turbo S. Today's Turbo has evolved beyond its origins as a more capable 911 in homologation special and into a supremely capable, ultra-fast, high-speed luxury cruising GT car. And in this role, Porsche may have created perfection. All the things I complain about with the base Carrera disappear with the Turbo. Now celebrating 60 years as arguably the most successful sports car of all time, the 911 started life as a rather humble replacement for the company's first production car, the 356. Through 6 decades, the basic formula has remained: a teardrop-shaped, flat 6-cylinder boxer engine mounted behind the rear axle, and room for 2 adults and 2 small children, or luggage, in the back. No other car in the market today has stayed as consistent in concept. The original 911 Turbo, launched in 1975 and known internally as the 930, saw the 911 grow wider, more voluptuous rear fenders, a giant whale-tail spoiler, and a turbocharger on its flat 6 engine. A 911 had always been tricky to drive well, and adding 69 horsepower to the tiny, dynamically flawed chassis didn't really help things. The situation was only made worse by the sudden on-off nature of early turbochargers. The 930, or 911 Turbo, quickly became known as much for its drag-and-slaying performance capability as for its willingness to throw its driver backwards into the weeds, hence the nickname Widowmaker. In the 1990s, Porsche attempted to remedy the Turbo's owner-killing tendencies by adding all-wheel drive. Now, the 911 Turbo would not only be easier to drive near its limits, but those limits could also be elevated significantly. Something else happened along the way. Porsche introduced the GT3 variant. It was this development, the availability of a dedicated, hardcore track-focused 911, that would allow Porsche to move the Turbo more upscale, to make it more luxurious, and allow it to create its new and future identity in the magical and ever-growing world of Porsche 911s. Porsche had tried to appeal to both bases, sport and luxury, in the past with one model, the groundbreaking 928 of 1977. That model produced mixed results. The enthusiast press loved the 928, but 911 buyers weren't so sure. Finally, with separate GT3 and Turbo S variants of the 911, Porsche has succeeded. Today, the Turbo and Turbo S sit atop the street-focused regular production 911 offerings. The variety of Carrera models handle the traditional sports car segment, while the GT models are designed to slay all comers on track. The Turbo is typically the fastest, most luxurious, and most capable 911 model. The one to choose for high-speed, transcontinental runs for you, your lucky guests, and only as much luggage as you absolutely need. Although even that capacity has been increasing. The newest generation of 911 Turbo, known internally as the Type 992, is a magnificent sight to behold. If a car can be described as majestic, the Turbo is that car. The Turbo has an incredible presence from any angle. The front continues in the tradition of happy faces, going back to the very first 911s. Upon closer inspection, you notice Porsche gave this Turbo active aero. Porsche tells us the 992 active aero creates 15% more downforce than on the previous 911 Turbo. In the front grille openings, slats open and close to achieve a balance between engine cooling in traffic and slow speeds, or improving aerodynamics at ultra-high speeds. Even more exciting is a movable front lip spoiler that grows and lowers to reduce front lift and control turbulence. A nicely styled 2-piece rear deck spoiler raises and lowers in sync with the front spoiler to further improve downforce and stability at speed and maintain front-rear balance. Porsche claims it also acts as an air brake in ultra-high speed braking. Overall, a very slick piece of engineering. A quick glance at the side view shows that Porsche designers have smoothed the flow of air over the body as much as possible, while maintaining the classic 911 styling. The Turbo not only can go crazy fast, but it looks the part as well. Careful styling of the side sills adds a muscular, powerful look, as well as aiding aerodynamics for increased stability. And the side intake, The turbo styling feature, first introduced on the 993 generation, is once again present. The view that is sure to be a favorite of many, and the one most seen by drivers of other cars, is of course the rear. Just look at this thing. If the front end is described as friendly and happy, surely the back end has to be described as taunting, or aggressive, muscular, badass, or simply my favorite. 911s have always featured a narrow passenger compartment and wide hips look, part of what Porsche designers refer to as Porsche DNA. But this turbo really accentuates the wide hips look. Nobody is going to confuse a 992 turbo for anything other than a Porsche. The 992 generation features full-width taillight lenses, again something that was also found on the originals. Unlike the original turbo, which featured that now famous whale tail spoiler, the newer turbos feature a more sophisticated rear spoiler that, like the one found up front, is automatically adjusted to optimize aerodynamic needs at varying speeds. Porsche did a really nice job with a two-tiered rear spoiler. I wouldn't mind seeing a whale tail come back. Porsche, are you listening? Turbo-specific, race car-inspired center-lock alloy wheels are 20 inches in front, 21 inches in the rear, and as always been the case, the rears are considerably wider at 395 millimeters wide versus 295 at the front. The staggered 20-inch front, 21-inch rear center-lock wheels are spectacular. It's been said that you can tell a lot about an automobile by washing it. That's certainly true with any Porsche, including this Turbo S. I was having a conversation with a professional detailer yesterday, and he echoed my feelings about Porsches. Get up close and personal with one, like this 911, and you really come to appreciate the attention to detail, the quality and fit and finish that this German manufacturer has become legendary for. Every panel, every bend and bulge, every indentation, scoop and add-on is there for a purpose and is designed and built to last. There's a certain satisfaction to be gained from hand washing a car like this yourself. Styling at the front is minimalistic and not especially noteworthy. It's not my favorite 911 front end, but there's nothing offensive about it either. The side and rear styling are much more successful. The Turbo S model really suits the 992 generation's shape and size. The look is immediately recognizable as a 911 and is at once simple, clean, but also muscular and clearly designed with purpose. The back end is just wow. I love the exaggerated width, accentuated by the traditional turbo full-width taillight lenses, vents, and well-designed rear spoilers. I mean, just look at this thing. If this doesn't put a smile on your face, you got to check your heartbeat. 911 turbos have always had wide hips, and they've never been wider. Bigger is better. On the turbo version, Porsche decided to eliminate that odd vertical third brake light. The large glass sunroof can either vent up like it is now, or slide back. Not a fan of how it looks when you slide it back, but this is okay. And I'm not usually a fan of decals, but you gotta admit, this looks pretty good on this car. Porsche cleaned up the side intake scoops as well. I think this is a nice improvement over previous generations. The front styling is very clean, very minimalistic in 911 tradition. This car also has Porsche's LED matrix headlight system. Pretty cool. For the purpose of being an ultra-high performance luxury GT, the styling is perfect. This is the view most other performance car drivers are going to see, and it's a good one. In Turbo S form, the proportions on this car are perfect. Still not a fan of the flush-mounted door handles, but they seem to be popping up everywhere. Inside, the 992 generation really takes the 911 to new heights. I always felt the interior on Porsche's 991 generation, the predecessor to this 992, felt compromised. I never warmed up to the execution of the 991. With the 992, it's clear Porsche designers had a clear idea of what they wanted to do and where they wanted to take the 911. The whole feels consistent, well thought out and exciting. None more so than the turbo version. On this Turbo S, Porsche has designed the perfect blend of 1970s 911 turbo and today's thoroughly modern cockpit. The overall feeling, with the dashboard's emphasis on horizontal shapes and the traditional pleats on the seats and doors, instantly recalls the look and feel of the great air-cooled 911s, but offers all-important comfort, convenience, and safety that makes the Turbo S truly usable as a daily driver. Perhaps the ultimate dream daily driver. At every turn, the inside of this Porsche presents traditional 911 styling cues, but with a modern, ergonomic, and clearly high-end take. Add in the almost endless choice for customization available through the Porsche Exclusive program, and I would challenge anyone who thinks they can't design their own perfect 911 interior. This car looks simply stunning with its shark blue exterior and chalk leather interior with black accents. The closer you look, the more you find, like the matching stitching, knurled switches, aluminum accents, and even the shark blue seatbelts. This particular 911 Turbo S is definitely a looker. And comfortable too. I've never driven a water-cooled 911 that didn't have a perfectly set up driving position. Porsche nailed the relationship between seating position, steering wheel, pedals, and visibility decades ago. And like it does with virtually every aspect of any new 911, the company builds on its past and brings improvement with each new release. The interior of a Turbo S is a really nice place to be. 911 Turbo S is almost a work of art. Craftsmanship is typical Porsche, top-notch. The stitching, the different leathers, the shapes, they did a great job with this. The seating position is perfect like on any 911. I drove my 997 GTS here, and now I'm driving this one, and they feel very similar. You know you're in a 911 even if you're blindfolded. It's pretty cool what Porsche's been able to do over 60 years. One option this car has that I wouldn't need is the Burmester stereo system. I know it's fantastic, but the only sounds I want to hear come from the back of this car. And the engine noise in the back, it's unmistakable. I've tracked 996 generation 911s, 997, 991, and 992 in variations from the base Carrera to the GTS, GT3, and GT2 RS. All water-cooled 911s feel so similar when you're behind the wheel that you need to be especially aware when you're in one of the higher horsepower models, because it's easy to forget how fast you're actually going. And in this Turbo S, you're going both faster and even more perfectly positioned. This interior is a triumph and a huge improvement over the previous 991 generation. I really like this car. Would I change anything? Sure. On my 2003 996, the Sport Exhaust on-off button defaulted to on, and the switch was used to turn it off, making the exhaust more quiet. That changed with the 997 generation, but I wish this was still the case. I'm sure there's some government noise regulations that account for this recent setup. The location design of the cup holders are less than ideal, and I would prefer the ignition switch and headlamp remain two separate items like on past 911s. And maybe a few less features that require using the PCM. But that's nothing big in what is truly an enjoyable place to be. But this car, any Porsche, is first and foremost about the driving experience. So what's it like to drive this $250,000 supercar disguised as a 911 sports car? Okay, sorry about that, but no test of a 911 Turbo S would be complete without at least one launch control start. The 911 Turbo and Turbo S have always gotten headlines for their stupendous acceleration times, and this 992 generation does not disappoint. In fact, Porsche tells us that the 992 generation Turbo brings the biggest year-over-year increase in power of any 911 Turbo ever. The 911 Turbo S has 640 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. It's insane. I'm a big coffee drinker, but with the 911 Turbo S, there's no coffee necessary. With that much power and torque available, combined with Porsche's 8-speed race car drive dual clutch transmission, Car Driver officially timed the Turbo S's 0-60 run at 2.2 seconds, 0-100 in a mind-blowing 5.3 seconds. And did I mention 205 mile/hour top speed and 0-60 around 2 seconds? Really, there is no better ultra-high-performance GT on the planet. Okay, start the hate mail now, but this new PDK is far superior to an old school manual. Try this in the manual. Yes, I understand an old school manual is more involving, more fun. I just hopped out of a manual transmission Carrera 5 minutes ago, and for spirited street driving, the excitement and pleasure is real. But if that's what you prioritize, then isn't a base Carrera or a T the smarter option? Turbo and GT models are, in fact, about extreme performance. And on the road or track, no old school manual can keep up with Porsche's PDK. PDK is so much faster and allows you to be a better driver when actually using the car's potential, like driving on track. And before some of you fill up the comments section telling me how no real man or real enthusiast would drive an automatic, maybe you should tell that to Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, or any of the world's top-level drivers. Of course, if you insist on old tech, there's always NASCAR. Porsche's massive PCC brakes with 10-piston calipers stop the Turbo S just as convincingly, needing a paltry 139 feet to come to a full stop from 70 miles per hour. That is truly supercar territory, and frankly, most supercars can't even touch these numbers, even at double the price. So yes, the ridiculous usable power and athleticism of the 911 Turbo S will get the attention. But what impresses me even more is how enjoyable this car is to drive. Not only its speed, but simply going to the store, picking up your kids from school, driving home from the office, or even sitting in rush hour traffic. This is a very high quality, well thought out, and well put together machine. It just feels right. The generous visibility, a hallmark of 911s for 60 years now, adds confidence in tight quarters, and the impressively tight turning circle, courtesy of four-wheel steering, allows you to get in and out of any spot you find. The 911 Turbo S is so good, so exceptionally executed, that it makes even an otherwise mundane commute feel like a Sunday drive in the country. And that is what this car does better than maybe any other car on the market. There are no shortage of exciting, flashy cars with doors that go up and exhausts that set off commercial building alarms. Sure, they can be exciting for a few days, but try living with one of them, and I can tell you, the charm disappears pretty quickly. Clunky transmissions, difficult to enter interiors, non-existent visibility, migraine-inducing noise, and teeth-rattling suspensions. Never mind the poor build quality and reliability and resale values that drop faster than a rock out of a 10-story window. This Turbo S, as powerful as the Incredible Hulk, is perfectly happy acting like David Banner when circumstances dictate. This car is well built, polished, refined, and it makes you feel like $1,000,000. And best of all, like our credo here at GTS Car Life, this dream car is clearly made to be driven. With all the 911s I've had the pleasure to drive, mostly on track, what really impresses me is that no matter the horsepower and trim, if you drive a 911, it just feels like a 911. They all share the same exceptional driving position, the same solid but well-damped chassis, and the same rock-solid feel through the steering wheel. No other car feels and drives like these rear-engined miracle machines. While I didn't have the chance to take this car on track, in my role as high-performance driving education instructor, I've spent hundreds of miles on tracks in 911 Turbo and Turbo S models. They never fail to impress with their superhuman abilities. What often strikes me when I'm riding these cars is how they deliver earth-scorching performance while also covering their drivers' mistakes and saving their butts. The old Widowmaker nickname is officially put to rest. What we have here is the masterful and joyful result of decades spent by some of the world's most skilled engineers to create the world's best, no-excuses luxury supercar. The original 911 Turbo started life as homologation special. It was the top-line 911, combining the high-quality, precision-built, decade-old sports car with a high-strung but powerful turbocharged power plant. That car became an instant legend, but also one that was feared. In the early 1970s, Porsche executives wanted to come up with the best replacement for a 911. With the 928, Porsche executives were trying to increase the performance and luxury over the 911. Porsche attempted to improve on that idea with 1977's front-engine, rear transaxle V8-powered 928. Although an incredibly capable machine, many felt it leaned too far in the luxury direction at the expense of sportiness. That its avant-garde styling resembled the AMC Pacer certainly didn't help. Porsche had in fact begun creating the look of the 928 before American Motors, led by design genius Richard Teague. But Porsche's ultra-long and comprehensive research and development cycle meant that the AMC economy car beat the 928 to market by 2 years. After many compromised attempts, Porsche have finally done it. Well, Porsche finally did it. They built the perfect 928. Now, with this 992 generation 911, Porsche has finally perfected their world-beating luxury supercar. Porsche has never built an inexpensive car. Desired, admired, and respected, yes, but never inexpensive. This latest 992 generation 911 Turbo S at $250,000 is no exception. But here's where give it into your heart's desire, even lust, can actually make sense. I would argue that no manufacturer of ultra-high performance cars has a better reputation than Porsche. Name another sports car company that has consistently, for 75 years now, built emotional, polished, incredible driving, reliable, and dare I say practical dream machines that equal the 911. Go ahead, I'll wait. Automotive magazines and auto enthusiast memories are littered with the many wannabes, as good as and almost sports cars that took their shot. But where are they now? And because so many have tried, but nobody has succeeded in pushing the Porsche 911 from its position at the top of the list, the values of these incredible machines hold strong. For anyone with an extra $250,000 laying around, this is the perfect luxury sports car. What we have here is, in my opinion, the ultimate performance touring GT. And because so many have tried, but nobody has succeeded in pushing the Porsche 911 from its position at the top of the list, the values of these incredible machines hold strong. So, if you're in the market for one of the greatest performance cars money can buy, spending $250,000 for a car like this Porsche 911 Turbo S may actually be the smart move. Who would have thought? One last comment. I've been buying cars from Avondale since 2005, I can personally vouch for their ethics. They are a great family-owned dealership. You can't go wrong. If you give them a call, tell them Thomas at GTS Car Life said hi. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, liking, and clicking that bell below so you won't miss all the exciting new episodes we have on the way. Have fun, stay safe, and I'll see you out there. All right, is it just me, or does this car need to be named Killer Smoke? Sorry.